Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Well, today I get a chance to answer a question that's been asked by several people over the years, and it gives me a chance to put forward my view on it. Here's the question from Ted9772. I've benefited greatly from HD over the years and enjoy what it brings to my daily life. However, from a spiritual standpoint, I've been a long-time practitioner of Buddhism and also embraced the idea of there being a mystical nature to our lives. In other words, a limitless aspect that transcends the physical realm. Buddhism, while acknowledging each person's individuality, doesn't put any limit on the potential inherent in a person's life. Human design, meanwhile, appears to state there is a limit based on a person's design and the mechanics they exist within. Both enrich my life in different ways. I'm interested to hear your perspective on how these two sit side by side, especially in regard to the deterministic element of human design versus the limitless element taught in Buddhism. Your videos have been invaluable over the years in my journey of understanding human design. I truly appreciate your insight. So thank you for asking this, Ted. It does come up, as I've said now and again. So let me be really clear. Human design is not a religion. It is a science. It is the science of differentiation. The hexagrams of the I Ching and the codons of genetics are a perfect match. The fact that we have a unique design is genetic. I did a video on this channel called Where Do You Come From? In that video, when I looked at my own genetic history through the charts, I saw that everything that I have as a life force came from my parents and my grandparents. So it's like there is this genetic material that's passed on, and that's what happens. That's what happens. It's not like it's deterministic in the sense of cause and effect and a whole karmic replay that goes on and on forever. It's not that. And you say that Buddhism acknowledges individuality. Well, an acknowledgement of individuality is a very different thing from being able to specify precisely and accurately how someone's nature is. I mean, you can see it. I've tested it for 28 years. To me, it's obvious. We are aware of the transits that come, the planetary influences that come. And this is something that any astrologer will also say to you. But the whole point is that we can make our own decision despite the transits, that we each have an inner authority to be able to know what is correct for us in our decision making. And it's only then, when you go into the experiment, that you understand that. It is very easy with human design. It has all kinds of different sides to it, different levels to it. It appears to be quite complex. And in fact, it is quite complex the deeper you go. But it is also like a science. You have to learn it. And if you learn it, you'll see it. It's verifiable. You'll see it in yourself. You'll see it in other people. You'll see it in the way the daily transits come through and how they affect you, but not your friend who has different things. It's a science, and it's not deterministic. It says that you can make your own decision and move correctly according to who you are, no matter what is going on. And that, to me, is the opening of a mystical life. I mean, the founder, Ra-Uru, wasn't a particularly spiritual man. In fact, he was a nihilist until he had his experience of something that came through him. That was a big shock to him, for sure. But he had his experience of that. Now, I've had a lot of extraordinary experiences on the spiritual level as well, but I don't hear a voice in the way that he does. He interpreted it through a voice because of his design. Anyone who's watching this, if you have any of the channels going from the ajna to the throat, you've got voices in your head too, especially the 4323. Now, some of you argue inside your own heads because of that, when you have conflicting channels. I mean, is that not true? Is that not verifiable? Is that not what you experience? And if it is, then you'll see that this is a science. And our meeting, our encounter with the forces, with the spiritual realms, will be different depending on our design. It is not deterministic. It is quite the reverse. We have an opportunity through this knowledge for actually reaching the truth at so many different levels. The truth of what's within us, the truth of what's outside of us. But you're not going to meet it, in my opinion, through thinking about it. You're not going to encounter the forces by chasing ideas. You encounter them by living your life. And human design opens up the possibility for each one of us to live a really unique life that has never been lived before by anybody ever. It is the opposite of determinism. Within the mechanics of the body graph itself, there is the mystical way. And some people have aspects of it in them and some people don't. That doesn't mean that the people who don't have that anything in the mystical way in their chart won't encounter things that are extraordinary and deeply spiritual. This higher reality that you indicate towards is possible for everyone, but we will interpret it differently. We will experience it differently. The whole point of following our inner authority is that we make decisions not from the mind, but from something that is pre-mind, like the sacral response. It's an energetic, as an example. Ra taught that we shouldn't believe anyone else about the way things are. He says, don't believe anyone, don't believe me. I mean, we have to find out. And if you've got a third line profile, like I do, you're going to find out by making mistakes. You're going to find out by trial and error. You're going to go down a lot of blank ends. But if you can accept that, everyone who has a first line in their profile has deep within them the potential to feel the awe and wonder of just being alive. And in my view, we are in a multidimensional Maya. There are all kinds of things that we have access to, and it depends on our state of consciousness. It depends on our focus. It depends on whatever we are involved with. And sometimes it just depends on where you are at the right place at the right time, without any expectations, without trying to get anywhere. You meet it along the way, often unexpectedly. So yes, there is a limit to our genetic material, but that doesn't mean that the human potential of every single person isn't absolutely vast. When you begin to look at the verticality that's in the human design system, you begin to understand that once the doors are opened, they cannot be closed. And that's for every single person who really goes into the experiment to discover by themselves. Not as a desire, not as an aim, not as a goal, but just through living one's life. Also in human design, there is certainly knowledge that exists beyond the physical realm. There's a whole teaching on what happens when we die. There's a whole teaching on the encounter with different forces. There are all kinds of pathways within the science that do touch upon the human potentiality. It's just something that's in it. So I can only encourage you to find out more if you want to, and to drop the idea that everything's set in stone in human design. It isn't. The only thing that's set in stone is your genetic material. So that's my view on it. And thank you for asking the question, Ted. I'm glad I got that off my chest. And I hope you can see where I'm coming from with that. Thanks for the question. And now for a final question, a question from Sarande. I'm currently having trouble with finding my way through coming off the roof. Myself having come through occult practices through a New Age spiritual group in the 90s, studying Steiner's anthroposophy, addiction, then 12-step recovery has been very difficult, especially not knowing exactly how my recovery fits in with human design, especially my life as a 6-2. I recently stumbled upon a new emotional sobriety group. I tried logging into their online meeting again tonight. Basically, my video shuts off whenever I'm on a 12-step Zoom. Tonight, upon apologizing before the meeting as I couldn't share my video screen at all people began changing their names. I had a sacral response and a splenic and promptly left the meeting. I do feel relieved as the prayer seemed off, but I'm trying to make sure I look after my recovery, except situations like this occur. It's weird, and I'm trying to study my own chart, including cycles, transits, channels, and gates, using your app, which I love, by the way. I really need guidance, but my finances have been very tight for unexpected reasons. And no matter, even though I'm a quad left, my social media doesn't seem to be working to break out my art, jewelry, and coaching the way I assumed it would. Any insight or really anything would be much appreciated. Thank you for the question. And a few things occur when I look at your chart. There is a propensity for addiction in your chart. And especially if you're under stress, and especially under financial stress and feeling like, life is falling apart. There's a kind of a life and death theme that runs through you. But another point in the chart is there's only 2 third lines there. And you are, as you say, a 6-2. And the second line needs education. Now, why your Zoom keeps breaking up on a 12-step call, I don't know, but someone will know. And I'm sure it's a click of a switch somewhere or a setting you have to change. And in the same way, in the social media, you need to get someone who knows what they're doing to show you how to do it. You doing it off the cuff isn't working. And because there's only 2 third lines in the chart, your ability to adapt isn't so strong. So education is needed. And I must say, there's all kinds of wonderful courses out there with people that seem to be very good at social media and seem to know what they're talking about. Not me. I don't know about how it all works, so I can't help you there. But there are more and more ways to get yourself out there. So basically, find the people or find the course or get the free information from Facebook courses or whatever might be out there. Especially with AI now, there's ways of really getting out there a lot faster and getting a lot more people, a lot more broader social media platforms. Again, I haven't done that yet, so it doesn't come from experience, but that's what I see. That's what the courses I've gone on have told me. I'm just too busy at the moment to deal with them. The other thing I want to say in terms of the direction that you're going, there is no fixed direction in your chart. And when someone has no fixed direction, there is this tendency to want to kind of make a direction and hold to it. So again, it might be time to adapt in a different way. Some new input needs to come to you. I know you're waiting for the call. You're waiting for the call to reach you because something has to change. I understand that you want to stay working for yourself. You're not someone that can stand having a boss or keeping to someone else's time structure. That's not going to work for you. So I think you're certainly correct in the fact that you want to be free in following your convictions about what it is that you really want to do, and not be held by some corporate structure. So that's all well and good. There are a number of aspects in you that point to you sharing different techniques and writing, bringing meaning into people's lives by some technique or modality or whatever, whether that's in health or whether that's in other things. Only you know that. And finally, the biggest tip I can give you right now in helping to get over what you're in at the moment is do what you can to slow down. Do what you can to just let go of the stress. Also see in your chart, the ajna is completely open. Yes, there's a lot of gates looking at it. So you are being influenced in that way. But quite frankly, there is no fixed conceptual structure or any single gate around which the thinking process happens. So some mental construct to do with social media from somebody else, you can go into rather than trying to do it yourself. When you've got the 34th gate, there's this tendency to just go out there and do it and think you can do it. Well, there are algorithms, there are all kinds of changes that keep happening. There are all kinds of trends. There's all kinds of things going on in that world. And you really need someone who can guide you through that, that you can build your own confidence through a results-based approach to what really will work for you. So see if you can take some pressure off yourself. That will be of a great help, both with the addiction and also the way your business is going. I know it's an easy thing for me to say, but if you can take an hour off every day and just have that for you just to be in and do whatever it might be, whether it's pottering around in the garden, whether it's going for a walk, whatever it may be, but something for you to separate from the stress of what the hell are you going to do. And that's cumulative. It also opens you up to other things coming in to help you. All right, well, I hope that's been helpful. And viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this one. And if you have, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. See you then. Bye.